My dear, you read the silence in my soul that even I feared to speak aloud. You saw the cracks no one else noticed. My hidden pain bled softly into your gaze. In your eyes, my scars became stories only you could understand without judgment. You read the truth behind my lies and loved me anyway, like a quiet miracle. The world missed my storms, but you heard the thunder in my whispered breaths. Only you saw the ghosts I hide and held me through their haunting dance. Your gaze traced the broken places I hid even from myself, tender and fierce. I am a locked book, but you found the key that no one else could touch. You read between my silences, where my deepest fears and hopes collide unseen. In a crowd, your eyes found the loneliness I buried beneath my smile. The universe conspired for you to see the wounds that time tried to erase. You saw my chaos as art, a masterpiece only your soul could decipher. Every glance you gave was a quiet confession of seeing me fully and raw. You caught the subtle tremble in my voice, my secret language of longing. I wear masks, but your gaze strips them away, revealing my true, fragile heart. You read the echoes of love I never dared to say, and held them gently. The world's blindness never stopped you from witnessing my quiet breakdowns. You decoded my silence, translating pain into a tender promise of healing. Beneath my guarded fortress, you found the fragile child waiting for your touch. You saw the pieces of me shattered and chose to rebuild, not run. The depths you explored inside me were oceans no one else dared to dive. You read my soul's script, written in invisible ink, revealing my hidden fears. My thoughts screamed in colors only your heart could see in black and white. You read my silence as a love letter written in broken whispers and sighs. No one saw my fractures like you did, and still you loved the shards. Your gaze healed wounds I thought were invisible, hidden beneath years of pain. You caught my trembling heart in a world that wanted to break it harder. You read my soul's darkness and never flinched, offering light in return. My silence spoke volumes, and you listened like a sacred prayer, unafraid. You saw my storms and danced in the rain with me, wild and free. You read my thoughts like a secret map leading to my buried dreams. The universe sent you to catch my soul's whisper when no one else could. You saw the cracks I tried to hide and painted love in their spaces. You read my heartbeat's quiet confessions and answered with your own truth. I am a riddle wrapped in shadows, but you hold the light to solve me. Your eyes caught the invisible tears I shed in silence, comforting my soul. You read my chaos and chose to stay, becoming my calm in the storm. No one caught my broken pieces like you did, and loved every jagged edge. You read my thoughts before I spoke, knowing the pain I dared not voice. You saw the universe inside my wounds, infinite and aching to be understood. You read my silent screams and turned them into whispered promises of love. My dear, you are the only one who saw the poetry in my shattered heart. You caught my soul's tremor and held it gently like the rarest flame. You read the truth I buried beneath smiles and shadows, loving me still. I speak in silence, and you hear every broken note with unbroken love. Your gaze is the mirror where my fragmented self finally feels whole again. You read my thoughts like an ancient language, sacred and unread by others. The world missed my cries, but your eyes caught every tear before it fell. You saw through my walls, touching the raw vulnerability no one else could reach. My thoughts bled quietly, but you saw the colors they painted inside me. You read my fears hidden deep and turned them into songs of healing. Only your soul caught my silent prayer, whispered to the stars in the dark. You saw the wounds I thought invisible and kissed them with gentle hands. You read my brokenness like sacred scripture and found sacredness in pain. You caught my drifting thoughts, lost in shadows, and pulled me back to light. Your eyes held the universe I hid inside, full of love and aching silence. You read my heartbeat's secret language and answered with your own fearless love. The world didn't see, but you caught my soul's trembling, fragile light. You read the unspoken words tangled in my silence and answered with presence. You saw my soul's quiet desperation and wrapped it in your fierce compassion. Your gaze is the lighthouse guiding my lost thoughts back home to love. You caught my silent storms and held me steady when the world was chaos. You read the poetry in my pain and wrote your love across my scars. My dear, only you read the sacred story written in my shattered heart. You saw the broken melody in my silence and sang a lullaby of healing. You read my soul's shadows and never feared the darkness you found there. You caught the truth my lips hid, whispering love in the spaces between words. You read the cracks in my spirit and filled them with your unwavering light. You saw my invisible tears and loved me deeper for every drop of pain. You read my heart's silence and answered with a love louder than words. You caught my fragmented soul and stitched it whole with threads of compassion. You saw my hidden scars and kissed them with a love that never judged. Your gaze read the sacred ache in my silence, answering with fierce devotion. You caught my quiet despair and transformed it into a song of hope. You read my soul's secret language and spoke back with eternal tenderness. You saw the invisible wounds no one else caught, loving me without condition. You read my thoughts like an ancient prayer only your heart understood. You caught the fragile light inside my darkness and made it shine again. You read my silent screams and turned them into whispers of healing love. You saw my broken spirit and chose to stay, holding me with sacred hands. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Like, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. You read the unseen battles in my heart and fought them alongside my soul. You caught my silent tears and loved me for the strength beneath the pain. You saw the delicate fracture lines no one else could understand or heal. You read my hidden fears and wrapped them in a love fierce and gentle. You caught the trembling in my silence and held me through the quiet night. Your eyes read the soul I hide, loving the broken pieces whole again. You saw the storm inside my calm and danced fearlessly through the rain. You read my soul's broken verses and turned them into songs of love. You caught the truth behind my smiles, loving the sadness no one saw. You saw the invisible war in my heart and stood beside me, unshaken. You read my silent prayers and answered with the love I dared not ask. You caught the fragments of my shattered dreams and held them like treasures. You saw the invisible chains around my soul and unlocked them with kindness. You read the sacred pain I hid and made it a bridge to healing. You caught the shadows in my heart and lit them with your fierce love. You saw the silent battles no one knew and fought them gently by my side. You read my soul's hidden language and spoke back with eternal grace. You caught the quiet storm inside me and became my calm, unwavering home. You saw the scars beneath my smile and kissed them with endless compassion. You read my soul's deepest ache and held it sacred, loving me fully. You read my soul's quiet cracks and filled them with your fierce, gentle love. You caught the whispers of my pain and turned them into sacred prayers. Your gaze is the only place where my brokenness feels truly home. You saw the invisible tears no one else caught and held them tenderly. You read my heart's silent language and answered with fearless devotion. You caught the trembling shadows I hid and loved me without hesitation. You saw the fragile flame in my darkness and nurtured it to light. You read my soul's secret pain and wrapped it in eternal compassion. Your eyes caught my silent storms and stayed through every thunderclap. You saw the invisible wars within and fought alongside me with fierce love. You read my broken songs and turned them into lullabies of healing. You caught my scattered thoughts and wove them into a tapestry of hope. You saw the sacred ache beneath my silence and answered with your presence. You read the hidden poetry in my pain and kissed it with your truth. You caught the cracks in my soul and chose to love me more fiercely. You saw the tears I hid and held them as if they were sacred jewels. Your gaze is the sanctuary where my broken heart feels understood. You read the shadows in my smile and never turned away from my pain. You caught the silence in my voice and answered with unwavering love. You saw my soul's fragile edges and touched them with kindness and grace. You read my silent prayers and answered with a love that heals and frees. You caught my soul's trembling and became the calm in my chaos. You saw the invisible battles no one else knew and stayed by my side. You read my hidden wounds and kissed them with tender understanding. You caught my restless heart and made it a home of safety and trust. You saw the darkness I hid and loved me through every shadowed night. You read the sacred sadness beneath my laughter and held me close. You caught the fragments of my broken dreams and made them whole again. You saw the invisible scars no one else noticed and cherished my truth. You read my silent cries and answered with fierce, unconditional love. You caught my soul's quiet desperation and wrapped it in your warmth. You saw my broken melody and sang back with a healing harmony. You read the language of my heart's pain and spoke words of hope.